Good evening, parents and guardians. Welcome to the French Immersion Information Session for those families looking to get information for the 2021-2022 school year.
We would like to start by acknowledging that we are on the traditional territories of the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples, whose presence here continues to this day. We would also like to acknowledge this is the treaty lands of the First Nations of the Williams Treaty and thank them and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land with us. We would also like to acknowledge the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation as our closest First Nation community and our partners in education.
The agenda for today's meeting consists of a program overview, things you should consider for French immersion, a little bit about the French immersion and French core FSL review and accommodations plan, the process for registration, how we're going to transport your children to and from a French immersion program, and lastly, frequently asked questions.
So in the York Region District School Board, there are two options for learning French. The first is the French Immersion Program, and in York Region District School Board, French Immersion begins in grade 1, and it is an optional program. The second program to learn French is Core French. So this is a mandatory program, and this program begins in grade 4.
In terms of an overview, French immersion provides your child or your children with an opportunity to learn a new language. The program is specifically designed for students whose first language is not French. It's a very inclusive program which welcomes all students. It is a long-term commitment for both students and families. And lastly, it's a program taught by teachers trained in second language instruction.
So when the students are in grades 1 through 3, their program is taught entirely in French. And so therefore their days are filled with 100% French instruction. And although it's fascinating, in grade 1, the students, they start with a little to no ability to speak French. By the time they get to the middle part of the year, they are able to express themselves in French. And it's wonderful to see that development. When students enter grades 4 and go through to grade 8, the language of instruction shifts to become 50% French and 50% English. And so here is an example of the number of minutes of weeks and the language of instruction for each of the subjects. So you can see that French, science, social studies, which includes history and geography in grade 7, 8, those are taught in French. And language and math, they are taught in English. And so for the remainder of the subjects, which include health, phys ed, and the arts, of those subjects, 50% of those will be taught in French and about 50% will be taught in English. So that's a breakdown at a glance in a week of the number of minutes of instruction and what language they occur in.
So here are some considerations that parents often inquire about in putting their children in French programs. In French immersion, students learn exclusively in French, as the language of instruction, as Deb has alluded to, is all French for grades 1, 2, and 3, and then 50% shift in grades 4 to 8. It's really important that they acquire strong French oral skills in order to read, write, and learn all the subject areas, science, social studies, math, phys ed, visual arts, etc., in French. And for all new parents to French immersion, the first few months of grade 1, your children will not acquire the identical skills to those learned by students in an English program. The focus is mostly on building French literacy skills to support them in their learning in French throughout their elementary school journey.
So in 2012, the YRDSB completed a year-long review of its French as a second language program. The purpose of the review was to ensure that the French language instruction programs are sustainable and that they are of high quality. And one of the outcomes of this review was an accommodation plan that was put in place. So later on in this presentation, you are going to hear about the accommodation plans for each one of the particular sites where French immersion is being provided this year in YRDSB. But basically what it means is that any student and any family who wishes to send their child to French immersion, there will be space for them in the program.
So as part of our overview of the agenda, we also included registration. So you're likely watching this video on the 14th of January. Registration will begin tomorrow, Friday, January 15th, which is a PA day. Registration is not first come, first serve. The window of registering your child into a grade 1 French immersion program at one of our schools begins Friday, the 15th of January and runs up to and including Friday, the 5th of February, 2021.
So let's speak first to students who are currently enrolled in YRDSB. So if your child currently attends a York Region District School Board school in year 2, kindergarten, senior kindergarten, all that you have to do to enroll for French immersion next year is call that English track school where your child currently attends and indicate to them that you would like for your child to register in FI for next year. That will begin the conversation and the process that will initiate them being able to attend the FI program next year.
And so many of you who are watching this presentation may have a child or children in a non-YRDSB school currently, and we still welcome and invite you to register for September 2021. If this is applicable to you and your child or your children, then what you would do is you would call your local French immersion school in the area you live, and you will ask to speak to someone who can provide you with specific details around registration and what that procedure looks like.
So let's talk for a second about late registration. So technically speaking, a late registration is anyone that is submitted after February 5th. So late registration does not mean that you will not be able to come to the FI program. So it's important for us to stress that your child will be able to attend the program. The late registration refers to the fact that our staffing process has begun at that point. And so if there is a need to overflow students to another site, it is the late registrations that are they're taken in order and they're numbered as they come in, and they are treated on a first come, first served basis. But please understand that anybody who wants access to this program will be able to get in.
Another big question that usually arises when we do this face-to-face at each of our French immersion schools is around transportation. So there is a lot of reading that you can do in advance. There is Board Policy 680, which can be found on the board website around qualifying for transportation based on distance from the school. Bus stops are located centrally, which means we do not provide door-to-door service. However, small walking distances from pickup and drop-off location is usually required. There is a website that is affiliated, which is on the screen, schoolbuscity.com, which provides bus information. You're welcome to peruse it and put in your address. However, bus routes change throughout the course of the summer and are not updated for the following September until the middle of the August prior. And students are sometimes required to walk a few blocks to get to their bus stop, usually to meet up with other students from the same school. And pickup times sometimes vary according to the start and end time of the respective French immersion school. All of that is highlighted on the website.
So let's talk for a second about transition from your child's current school to their school for French immersion the next year. So the important part of the transition activity, usually that would take place under non-COVID circumstances, is they would be welcomed into the school. You might also, as family members, be welcomed into the school so that you can get a feel and a sense for what it is like, what the program is like, what the school is like. But unfortunately, we're operating under different circumstances right now. But what you can expect from your French immersion school is that not only will they contact you via email to confirm your enrollment and to get some, make sure that they have all of your contact information and your details correctly, but you can expect that each FI school will reach out to the families with some kind of virtual opportunity for transition. It may come in the form of a video or of pictures or of a website, but in some way, shape, or form, your FI schools will start to welcome you and your children into their program and into their school. And these transition activities usually happen sometime in late spring.
There are always questions that come up during the information session, and this is a unique presentation format, so certainly there are some questions. We are going to take some time now with Melanie and Tara, who are going to address some of the frequently asked questions during this next portion of the presentation. If, however, during the course of these FAQs, you recognize that there's something that you're not familiar with or your question hasn't been answered, we strongly encourage you to contact your child's home French immersion school, and an administrator will get back to you with the answer.
Are there any next steps to complete my child's French immersion registration? Once you've contacted your home school to let them know of your intention to attend French immersion, you may be asked to provide your proof of address, which is a normal step in the registration process. Schools will contact families with any additional requirements.
I've changed my mind about enrolling my child in French immersion. What do I need to do? If you decided to withdraw your child from the French immersion program, please contact the French immersion school where your child was registered, either by phone or by email. You can provide details including your name, your child's name, and your contact information to let them know that you wish for your child to remain at their home school. In schools with overflow, this will allow your spot to be given to a student on the waiting list. It will also enable all of our schools to provide appropriate staffing levels.
Is there a school supply list? You do not need to buy any specific school supplies for your child, as the school will provide all of the necessary materials for learning.
Where can I learn more about childcare options as my child will be moving to a new school? For information about childcare options at your child's new French immersion school, please send an email or call the FI school, and they'll be able to provide you with contact information for childcare.
Where can I learn more about the French immersion school my child will be attending? You may find it helpful to visit the school's website, where you can find information about the school, including bell times, messages from the principal, and other interesting activities that have taken place at the school. You may also wish to see if the school has an official Twitter account, as an up-to-date information is often shared with families on social media.
Do I need to do anything to prepare my child for French immersion? We ask that you please see the resource supporting your child's success in French immersion and extended French elementary schools. The link to this resource is on the screen. The resource is a guide that contains practical suggestions for things that you can do at home to support your child's learning, even if you yourself do not speak French.
How can I become involved at my child's school? If you'd like to play an active role at the school level, you are always welcome to attend school council meetings. Information will be shared when school resumes in the fall. There are many opportunities to volunteer in the school. Please reach out to your school in the fall if you're interested in learning more.
What curriculum is taught in French immersion? For the most part, the same curriculum is taught in French immersion as in the English track. Deborah spoke earlier about the instructional minutes for different subjects that are taught in French and in English. One difference that you will see is that in French immersion, there is a specific French as a second language curriculum that sets out the expectations for learning in French immersion through all grades. Curriculum documents can be found on the Ministry of Education website.
Will my child be able to participate in gifted screening in grade 3? What happens if they are identified as gifted? Every student in grade 3 has the option of participating in the grade 3 gifted screening process. If your child is identified as gifted at the end of the process, you will have the choice of having them remain in French immersion or attend a gifted program. Much more information will be made available for you at that particular time.
Once my child begins in French immersion, are they able to transfer back to the English track? Although we certainly encourage families to view French immersion as a long-term commitment, we know that sometimes a choice is made by families to have their children return to the English track. This can happen for a variety of reasons at any time throughout their time in French immersion. Be sure to be in communication with your child's teachers and administrators for more information.
Do the supply or occasional teachers all speak French? We are fortunate in York Region District School Board to have many qualified French-speaking occasional teachers. Most of the time, the occasional teachers are able to speak French. However, there are times when they cannot. At all times, the plans are left by the regular teacher and the students are able to continue their work in French.
Can my other children in kindergarten attend the same school as their sibling in French immersion? Attendance at a particular school in York Region is based on geography and the school's catchment area. Therefore, each child must attend the school to which they feed based on your home address. We encourage you to review the information that will be shared later in this presentation about any accommodation plans for the French immersion school in your area.
As a reminder, if you have additional questions that were not answered in this presentation, you can reach out to your French immersion school and ask your questions.
So the next few slides, I'm going to go through the French immersion accommodation plan for the 2021-22 school year. So York Region District School Board's French immersion program is offered in a variety of settings. We have dual track, which is English track kindergarten to grade 8, and French immersion with either grades 1 to 8, 2 to 8, or 3 to 8. We also have the primary dual track program. That's where a school offers English track kindergarten to grade 8 and French immersion in grades 1 or 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. We have single track French immersion sites as well, which are French immersion grade 1 to 8, 2 to 8, or 3 to 8. The variety of models means that some students may begin the French immersion program in one school, but continue in a different French immersion school. For 2021, our board will accommodate students in 15 primary dual track schools where that would occur. The variety of models allows flexibility in addressing community needs and the opportunity to use existing spaces in schools. The accommodation plans for schools will provide long-term consistency and equity of access to all students in York Region and will enable York Region District School Board to continue to offer the French immersion program to all who wish to enroll. So the next several slides, I'm going to provide school-specific accommodation information. The accommodation plan for Adrian Clarkson for 2021, there's no change. All grade 1 French immersion students are accommodated at Dawnecrest and will attend Adrian Clarkson for grades 2 to 8. The accommodation plan for Bain and Fields Public School, there's no change for 2021-22. Monitoring enrollment, we'll be monitoring enrollment to determine if a future primary dual track is required for 2022 or later. Accommodation plan for Elders Mills Public School, there's no change for 2021-22. All grade 1 French immersion students are accommodated at Lorna Jackson and will attend Elders Mills for grade 2 to 8. Accommodation plan for Franklin Street Public School, there's no change for 2021-22. All grades 1 to 2 French immersion students are accommodated at Reeser Park Public School and will attend Franklin Street Public School for grades 3 to 8. Accommodation plan for Glad Park Public School, there's no change for 2021-22. All grade 1 to 3 students are accommodated at Harry Bose Public School and they attend Glad Park for grades 4 to 8. Accommodation plan for Juilliard Public School, there's no change for 2021-22. All grade 1 students are accommodated at Joseph A. Gibson and will attend Juilliard for grades 2 to 8. Accommodation plan for Keswick Public School, there's no change for the 2021-22 school year. Monitoring enrollment to determine if primary dual track location will be required for 2022 or later. The accommodation plan for Lester B. Pearson, there's no change for 2021-22. All grades 1 to 2 French immersion students are accommodated at Devon's Drive Public School and will attend Lester B. Pearson for grades 3 to 8. The accommodation plan for Louis-Honore Fichette Public School, there's no change for 2021. Accommodation plan for Mazo de la Roche Public School, there's no change for 2021, and all grade 1 French immersion students are accommodated at Prince Charles Public School and attend Mazo de la Roche for grades 2 to 8. Accommodation plan for Michael Jean Public School, there's no change for 2021. Accommodation plan for Milliken Mills Public School, there's no change for 2021. All grade 1 French immersion students are accommodated at Copper Glen Public School and will attend Milliken Mills Public School for grades 2 to 8. Accommodation plan for Poplar Bank Public School, there's going to be new primary dual track locations in September 2021. So again, a primary dual track school is where English grades JK to 8 are provided at that school, and as well as French immersion in grades 1, 1 to 2, or 1 to 3. The primary dual tracks of Maple Leaf Public School and Clear Meadow will be helping accommodate growing French immersion enrollment from the Poplar Bank Public School catchment area. So all grade 1 students, French immersion students, are going to be accommodated at Clear Meadow Public School or Maple Leaf Public School based on the student's home address. And then those students will remain at Clear Meadow Public School or Maple Leaf Public School for grade 2 in 2022. And then students would attend Poplar Bank for grades 3 to 8. This is just a chart indicating what school year and the particular schools and grades that are being offered. So again, the 2021-22 school year, grade 1s are at Clear Meadow or Maple Leaf. Poplar Bank has grades 2 to 8. And then the following year in 2022-23, Clear Meadow Public School or Maple Leaf Public School have grades 1 to 2, and Poplar Bank Public School becomes a grades 3 to 8 school. This accommodation slide outlines the feeders for Clear Meadow Public School and Maple Leaf Public School for grade 1 for 2021. The accommodation plan for Romeo Dallaire Public School, there's no change for 2021. All grades 1 to 2 students are accommodated at Nellie McClung or Viola Desmond based on the student address, and then they will attend Romeo Dallaire Public School for grades 3 to 8. Accommodation plan for Sam Chapman Public School, there's no change for 2021. All grades 1 to 2 French immersion students are accommodated at Fred Varley Public School and will attend Sam Chapman Public School for grades 3 to 8. This slide outlines the feeder lists for Sam Chapman Public School. Accommodation plan for Sir Wilfrid Laurier Public School, no change for 2021. All grades 1 and 2 French immersion students are accommodated at Victoria Square Public School and attend Sir Wilfrid Laurier Public School for grades 3 to 8. This slide outlines the feeders for Sir Wilfrid Laurier Public School. Accommodation plan for Ventura Park Public School, there's no change for 2021. Accommodation plan for Wyndham Ridge Public School, there's no change for 2021. Accommodation plan for Woodland Public School, there's no change for 2021. All grades 1 to 3 French immersion students are accommodated at York Hill and attend Woodland Public School for grades 4 to 8. So that outlines all of the French immersion schools in the plan for 2021. If you need to verify what French immersion school you'll be attending next year, please visit our website. It's www.yrsdsb.ca and go to schools, find a school, and find the school locator to enter your address to determine your French immersion school.
So we'd like to say thank you for your interest in French immersion and YRDSB, and thank you for your attention to this presentation. We hope that you found it useful, and we wish you all the best.